Are you ready to watch some ball? Very excited for this. Back in the film lab, going to do a breakdown of Oregon and James Madison, first round of the college football playoff. This is the biggest spread of the week. No surprise. JMU has played one Power 4 team all year. They lost to Louisville by 14 way back earlier in the season. Oregon's been up and down. I think the most interesting part coming into this game in terms of like, how do I wrap my head around what's going to happen? A lot of coaching changes. Oregon's losing both coordinators. Will Stein's going to Kentucky. Tosh Lupoy's going to Cal. That's the OC. That's the DC. Both guys will be coaching in this game, but it's fair to kind of question how much dedication they will be to the Oregon program, considering they are about to move on and take head coaching jobs of their own. And then, of course, the JMU head coach, Bob Chesney, is going to UCLA. Billy Napier is going to take over the JMU program, so that'll be an interesting transition as well. So both teams dealing with a ton of transitions. I think the biggest key to this game is Oregon's ability to prevent explosive plays and JMU having to cobble together drives, because they have been a team this year that's kind of been a hot knife through butter against a very difficult, or excuse me, against a very easy strength of schedule, and it's been difficult to defend JMU because they've had an edge. They've had an athlete edge. They've been the better team. They've been the hammer to the nail in every game they played this year. Now, they are obviously going to be the nail in this game. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't a path for JMU to keep this game close. You look at their quarterback, Alonzo Barnett, won the job over Matthew Sluka in camp. Of course, Sluka and Chesney have that Holy Cross connection. But he's been really good over the last few weeks. In fact, since week 8, 8th best Pro Football Focus grade, 5th in yards per attempt, 15th in ADOT, 16th in turnover-worthy play rate. So he's stretching the field vertically, not creating a ton of mistakes. And I think that's where JMU is going to have to be very explosive in this game. The Oregon front four is fantastic. Amari Washington, Bear Alexander in the middle, Uyunglele and Tuioti on the edge. That front four is a brick wall. And it makes life very easy for the second-level guys, the linebacker, Betcher. I love the safety, Thieneman. This is a very good Oregon defense. They're structured. They're disciplined. They don't give up a lot of explosive plays. And if JMU has to go 8, 10, 12 plays, odds are the athletes of Oregon are going to win one of those plays, create a negative, and then JMU is going to be in second and third and long, and that's where you'll be playing into Oregon's hands. I think on the offensive side of the ball for Oregon, the one game that Dante Moore struggled this year was the loss to Indiana, and they got a lot of pressure on him in that game. That's something JMU does okay. Again, not the best level of competition, but JMU's got a couple of guys on the edge. Sair West, Xavier Holmes, those are two guys to keep an eye on. And JMU's run defense, second fewest yards per carry this season. So that'll be another interesting matchup. Oregon's offensive line, their run game, very dynamic against the JMU pass rush. And can Dante Moore be kept upright? He's been much more efficient when clean this year. Film-wise, I know I'm babbling a lot. I'm going to do a little something different in this particular film study. Usually, I'll go over a few specific plays, and I'll have something kind of planned out and scripted, and it'll be very precise, and we get through it, and then there's a conclusion at the end. I didn't do that in this particular case. Now, Jared, you're slacking. No. I haven't watched JMU really all year. Not really watched them, like really studied them. I've mostly studied Power 4 teams this year, SEC, Big Ten, little ACC, and a little bit of Big 12, but I haven't really watched JMU at all. So I thought it would be fun to throw up their offensive game tape against Louisville this year. Why? Well, that's the only Power 4 defense they played. And I think that's kind of the vibe, right? JMU went into Louisville trying to take a big swing and knock off one of the big boys. And that's exactly what this game is. Because let's be honest, nobody's giving JMU a chance to win. They're a 3-touchdown underdog. So I'm fascinated to see what Bob Chesney's mindset is going into this game. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be very very aggressive. Okay, so here we go. JMU at Louisville. I'm just going to let the tape run. I'm going to stop it if I see something interesting. First play, double pass. So there you go. I mean, if this is any indicator of how aggressive Bob Chesney is going to be in this game, this is the first play of the game at Louisville. You're a big underdog. You're the upstart. What are you running? Are you going to run the ball and do some basic counter play or dive play? Or, they like to do these zone concepts. No. Double pass. And he had it, man. He had it. He freaking had it. I mean, I don't want to break the mechanics down too much because it's a receiver throwing it, but he was way off platform, and that's why the ball kind of duck snorted there and sliced off to the left. Well, so right out of the gate, Bob Chesney super aggressive. Now, I think the one thing about this JMU offense this year, it all runs through the quarterback, Barnett. They don't have a ton of dudes on the outside, and that's going to be an issue in this game, what you just saw right there. I mean, that's just, serious pressure coming in. I think that was from the A-gap here. So, let's see where this was from. Yeah, I mean, he just beats him straight inside. And if you get pressure in the face, there's just not much you could do. See, this is where the Oregon front four can be very effective. They might not have to bring and commit extra bodies to the box in order to shut down this run game and to shut down, the basic intermediate passing game. Because the goal is when you don't have that elite guy on the outside, you do have a good running back. That Wayne Knight guy can scoot. But when you don't have that alpha receiver, you kind of have to get into a rhythm. And, same situation right there. I mean, Barnett's off his back foot, and that's a quick 3 and out. Even though they had the trick plays set up. I mean, this is just a quick 3 and out. They're only rushing 4, right? Everyone's getting pressure. Pocket collapses super quick, and they can't even get the check down off. To me, that's, and obviously this is where it's interesting to me, where this game has some variance to it, right? I'll just keep letting it play out. This game has some variance to it, right? If JMU hits that trick play on the first play of the game, this is a completely different drive. But then they go quick 3 and out. I think there was actually a penalty that gave them a first down here. This was a different drive. Excuse me. So this is a punt, and then they brought Sluka in a little bit later, right? Because this is later in the game, right? Sorry, So what I did was I synced this up to Adobe Photoshop, or through Adobe Premiere, so I'm running all of this through Premiere. Yeah, so this is later in the game with 9:36 low in the first quarter. So this is a different drive. This is the second drive of the game now, and now Sluke is in, right? Now they did the rotating quarterbacks a little bit in this game. But that first drive is a great example to me of where the variance is, right? You're catching 21 points with JMU in this game against Oregon. They're probably going to be very aggressive. Their opening script is going to have some kind of trick play, some kind of gadget, some kind of gizmo to get them on the board quick, to quiet the crowd, and to try to, get into the game, get into flow, get into rhythm, feel a little comfortable. It might come up snake eyes. It might, he might throw it in. He might have a wide open receiver like that, incomplete pass, and all of a sudden you're 3 and out, Oregon's got the ball, or God forbid, that's a 4th down play where you're going for it at midfield, you're aggressive, you don't get it, come up empty, Oregon's in the end zone 7-0. So this game's got a lot of variance to it because I think JMU is going to be very aggressive with their opening script. Like right here, again, look, this is both quarterbacks are on the field at the same time, right? There's Sluka, there's Barnett. They're running pitch pass where Barnett then is going to try to throw. I mean, it looked like they tried to get some kind of concept deep. I didn't look at this. Sorry, I was yapping too much. I need to look at this from the wide angle to see what kind of concept they were trying to do here. Again, you got trips to the bottom of the screen. It's going to be pitch pass to the right. See what kind of concepts they're running. Yeah, I mean, it looks like you got a 1 deep, you got the intermediate, and then you got the short. You're probably reading it high to low. You got 2 safeties over the top here. You got the intermediate guy bracketed. I mean, again, this is just athletes on athletes, right? And that's the thing that Oregon has better than JMU here, especially at the receiver position on the outside. It is going to be very difficult for the JMU receivers to get, I'll call it separation. Because even if the Oregon scheme is zone and you're not man-to-man, there's just not going to be a lot of big windows to throw into. It's going to be very difficult, I think, because of the pass rush for Oregon, because of how good they are with getting pressure with their front four without having to commit. You can rush 4, drop 7. It's going to make life really tough. I think JMU is going to have to hit a few of these gadgets and gizmos and trick plays and eye candy in order for them to have space. I mean, here's just a basic zone read, and Louisville is all over it. I mean, there's absolutely nothing there. What down was this? Sorry. See, this is new. Okay, so this is 3rd and 6. And even on 3rd and 6, JMU's kind of walked up into the box. Or excuse me, Louisville's walked up into the box. You've got a pressure look. I don't even know what kind of defense that is, but the defensive lineman was all over it. It looked like the center has had some issues here. 60's had a few issues kind of getting off the ball and getting beat. I mean, watch. 9 just cuts this gap. 52 is unable to reach. 60's late on the backside getting back, and he blows it up. Nice play by 9. So Oregon's got some good players that are going to disrupt the zone read game. And I think their ability, again, to limit explosives is going to be huge in this game. They're going for it here on 4th down. Yep. So JMU's going for it here on 4th down. Let's see what they do. Look like a little mesh concept and a whole lot of nothing. Right? Couple of stack releases here. You got the tight end and the very tight splits, right? Nobody's outside the numbers on the left hash mark. Everyone is basically within the hash. Right? You're going to have a little stack release here. This guy's going to cut under. Another stack release here. This guy's going to try to run a little bit of an out and up. Louisville's got it completely covered. I mean, there is nothing. No space. Good pocket. But then eventually that breaks down. Sack, fumble. Doesn't matter. Turnover on downs. Doesn't matter who recovers it. Let's look at it from the protection. Yeah, I mean, you got to take your check down right here. Once you see both of these guys get beat. I mean, this left guard had a big problem here with 90. Yikes. It's going to be tough sledding, I think, for this JMU offense. Again, they're going to have to be very creative, and they are going to have to execute. They are not going to get a lot of open opportunities in this game. When they get them, if they don't hit them, this thing could tilt in a hurry. Here's Sluka. What happened here? How did they get the ball back? So, was there a penalty? Had to be a flag. Right? Yeah. There must have been a flag on that play. Look at this diamond formation down here. What is that? Look at that. Sluka's in the game with the diamond formation. They're going to run quarterback counter out of it and get absolutely wrecked. I mean, I guess what they're trying to do here is you got 3 for 3. I mean, I would throw it. I'm assuming that the play is designed for it, right? Because you got hat on a hat here, right? 5 on 5, which means this linebacker's free to eat. You've got 3 for 3 here. This safety has to make a tough play over top. On 1st and 10, I'm taking that. Sluka decides not to. Again, this is, I think, why maybe it's 14 now, the starting quarterback for JMU. Whoa, that's trippy. Hope you guys are enjoying this. If you are, I mean, again, this is different for me. I know usually I'm a little bit more concise with how I handle these film studies, but I thought this would be fun for us just to kind of watch and react. Again, I don't remember this game. I have not watched much JMU at all this year. I wasn't really watching the Sun Belt Championship much. This looks like their first successful run of the day. So I thought this would be fun. All right, so here's your counter, right? Guard and tackle both pulling up in the hole, and you have another counter, right? It's kind of this is like a T, it's like wing T formation. So, boom, boom, faking here, play action, and then this guy's getting it. I like this. I like this play. I think this is how you neutralize Oregon a little bit. You have to move these defensive linemen around. 10-yard run. Let's watch it from the type. I love watching linemen pull. I think it's one of my favorite. Like when a lineman understands I mean, this is tough for this right guard. I mean, he's coming full bore, and he's got to slam into that defensive lineman, set the edge. And then nice double team here. And then the right tackle coming up in the hole, finding something to work. Crease opens up. Nice play. Little counter. Probably see a lot of that. That's how you get out of 2nd and 10. Is you run that on first down, and all of a sudden it's 2nd and 4. There's more zone read. Not really much there. Again, when your hat on a hat here, their hats are better than your hats. That's how Oregon is going to be. Oregon's going to be way better than Louisville's hats. So when you're 5-on-5 here, you're losing. And really, you're reading this, right? You're reading this guy right here. And he didn't even, frankly, like, I'd probably keep that. Like, that might have been a misread. Because he plays it well. I give him credit. He plays it well, right? This guy shuffles his feet, breaks down, doesn't commit, makes the quarterback into a stressful decision on the zone read. And I think that's a win, right? If you're making the quarterback distressed when you're making that decision, you're not going to be picking up too many yards. Yeah, see, like, he did a good job crashing down. I probably would have kept there. Like, he crashes. I probably keep, and I come around the edge right here. But 15 doesn't do any. Well, 15 gets there. Yeah, he probably should have kept that. That was, I think, a misread. But I'm not in the room. I don't know. Maybe he's been told give. Sometimes they have automatic gives on the zone read. Sometimes it is called in where it's like, hey, listen, we're either giving you a break or it's an automatic give. We want to see how they play this. So I know we coach up and we criticize and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes these guys are actually trained, coached up to do things a certain way that we have no idea because we're not in the room. And that's where the film study stuff, here, Sluka again. I'm not really interested in this Luka stuff too much because he hasn't really played a whole lot over the last few weeks. Like, the film study stuff, I love watching film. And for those unaware, like, I've been doing this now for about a year where I've been including film study in my content every week. I used to just watch it and talk about it, but I've kind of developed fun ways to use it as content. And I think it's very effective in telling stories because a lot of times, right, we spin these narratives and we're like, this guy's doing this. But when we can show you actually what it is, I think it adds a little bit of validity to it. And it adds a little bit of depth to it. So I'm going to keep doing stuff like this. I have great access to the all-22s. I haven't gotten dinged on YouTube yet. We'll see. I don't think I will for some of the lower levels conferences. I think the Big Ten has an issue with it, so I try to stay away from the Big Ten stuff. That's why I haven't done any Penn State film studies this year. All right, their goal line package is clearly Sluka heavy. I mean, this is like some kind of weird king set. I don't know. The 3 backs. I don't know if they're running much of this anymore. This is, again, a package that only Sluka runs, and he hasn't played much recently. They've pretty much given the reins to this other quarterback. But I wouldn't be shocked in short yardage if you see stuff like this, right? Sluka on the keep. I guess they like these trip back sets where they're kind of moving guys around and countering, and that's kind of the run game you're going to see. And here's Carter back in for a 3rd and 1. So, again, this game's close right now. It's 0-0 in the first quarter. JMU's driving. JMU's in the game. JMU's, obviously, their defense has done a good job holding down the Louisville offense. Louisville's got a couple dudes on offense. That receiver, Chris Bell, is pretty good. They did a decent job on him in this game. And that's a well-designed play. Again, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You got to be creative, right? What are we doing here? This is a mesh. Right, tight end's faking like he's going to block, and then he's going to run this little drag route. I don't think they're meshing anything. No, yeah, they are meshing a little bit, right? You're getting the natural pick action here with these two guys going across. You got an out here on the side. It looks like this is actually the first read in the progression. Maybe not, though. Maybe this is all just kind of a play action setup, and they're always trying to get to the backside. Again, I'm not in the room. I don't know exactly what the first read in the progression is. Sometimes they run variations off of it. But this tight end coming across is obviously a primary because the quarterback gets back to it right away and he doesn't hesitate. Well-designed play. Again, that's the kind of thing you're going to have to see because I don't think man-to-man hat on a hat. I don't think JMU is going to have a whole lot of success against this Oregon defense creating explosives. They're going to have to be creative. They're going to have to run the annexation of Puerto Rico and that kind of silly stuff. And I'm not saying that this is silly, but that's a little bit of a wrinkle where you're play actioning, booting to one side, and then trying to get back to the backside drag for the tight end in the red zone. Like that's something that obviously they put on tape, but that's something that's not a staple in an offense. A little quick passing game. I like stuff like this. I like stuff like this because it gets the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick. Little play action. I don't like the numbers here. You got 1 for 2. But you're holding this safety in the middle because you're play actioning over. So you're hoping you get one good block and then you can make a man miss with your guy. You got some nice separation here on the outside, get to the sideline. I like stuff like this, especially when you're on the near hash and you're throwing to the boundary. And you give your guy a little bit of space, right? The goal is to get your guy the ball in space, even if it's on the outside. I love the extensions of the run game. More teams are doing a lot more of this, where they're actually doing escorts, where they will run a specific design play where the check down actually has a blocker, where they'll send a blocker out here, and then the check down's got a blocker in front of them. So I like the quick passing game, especially when you're the underdog. You just want to stack plays. You just want to create some rhythm and some flow on offense. And if you can do that over the course of 35, 40 plays, and you don't create the big, you don't turn it over, you don't make the big mistake, you're going to be in these games. But when you're just going to try to run basically a strict dive play right up the middle, you're not going to win because their hats up front are better than your hats. And you're just not going to create a lot of push, a lot of separation in the run game if you're just running basic stuff. I like this. What's that? A little HB swing. Got this guy running the I love football route deep. He has no chance of ever getting this. Basically running right into the middle safety. The goal here is to clear this out. Get that HB swing right away. Especially if this linebacker is flat-footed, which he obviously is, and then you got yourself a chunk play on first down. I love this stuff. This is easy. It's simple. It doesn't make life too difficult on the quarterback on the road. You don't have to run a lot of complicated stuff, but you have to be creative, and you have to be really good on early downs. That was a really successful first down play. Another one. You're obviously seeing some kind of trend here where, right, drop, drop, drop. Like this is zone, butts to the sideline, a lot of zone, eyes on quarterback, a lot of zone. If you're getting a lot of zone, that means you've got to be willing to take the windows and throw into these dead areas. Look how much space you got here. Get the ball to your guy in space and let him cook. And some quarterbacks get flustered. Some quarterbacks get impatient. They want to push the ball down the field. I mean, he doesn't really get through too much with his eyes there. I think he looks to one. I think he basically looked off this guy. Like you give one look here. Well, it's probably like a deep post. Yes. You give one look here to the deep post. But he didn't do really a good job. Like if you're trying to run a deep post, you're trying to hit a deep post against single high safety, you need to manipulate the safety with your eyes, which means you need to be looking over here. And I just don't think that's something that, like his eyes are here the whole time. Like I think he wants this check. I think he's been instructed probably on the sidelines. I think this is the third or fourth drive of the game. He's been instructed, hey, listen, they're dropping, and we're not going to get the deep stuff. So hit the checkdowns. That's 3 consecutive dropbacks where he is just, boom, spam the check down. And I don't have a problem with it. I don't. Like, honestly, he just gained, I think, 7, 6, and 5 yards on consecutive plays. If you do that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, you're going to get a lot of first down. There's another one right there. Again, I have no issue with this as a quarterback. What are we seeing here defensively? Drop, drop, drop. Tight end's going to run some kind of deep post. We don't see the linebacker immediately crash to the outside flat, right? He kind of hesitates a little bit. He kind of plays this tight end, not sure. And then, boom, hit it right now. First down, second down, first down. If they're giving you 6 yards and you go 6, 5, 6, 5, first down, second down, first down. Look how easy this is. It's just 1, 2, 3, throw. This is how you beat Oregon. You don't get greedy. They did a good job early in this game, and then things kind of fell apart late. Here's the Sluka package again, a little jet motion. I'm fine with this. I don't know if they're going to run this at all. They haven't used Sluka as much recently. I think he's a interesting changeup. I mean, he's obviously a big kid, not afraid of getting his nose dirty, but I think the 14 kid, I forget his name off the top of my head. I think Alonzo something. He's been, football brain. It's been a long day. I'm trying to get these film studies out because I want you guys to have some good content for the playoff this week, but I just haven't seen a whole lot on the outside for JMU that scares me, right? Like, who's the guy? Who's the bucket getter on this JMU team? If it's not Knight breaking a big explosive, all we've seen so far is checkdowns, a failed explosive trick play, and a bunch of read options. This is where, like, if it's third, I think this is third down. If it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, who's getting it? Yeah, this is 3rd and short. I just don't think they're going to get a lot of movement up front with this kind of stuff. Looked like he checked out of a pass into a run. Not sure why. Super heavy box. But I don't know for sure if he checked out of a pass into a run. He definitely changed something at the line of scrimmage. Maybe the protection. Maybe the scheme. Who knows? So now it's 4th down. Inaccurate pass off his back foot. So I think there's obviously a lot to clean up here. Check with me. He had time. He threw a fastball when he only needed to throw a changeup. But also, there just wasn't much there. I mean, this linebacker is right there. It just seems like JMU is going to be a team that is going to need to really rely on a lot of these creative explosives. I know I've repeated that a lot, but based on what I'm watching with their base stuff here, they don't scare me, right? Like, they don't threaten me offensively. And they have been very threatening at times this year against lesser opponents. But Louisville is not a lesser opponent. Louisville has dudes and men up front, and they're creating chaos in the run game. They are not allowing JMU to get push with their basic stuff. Like, great job by 90. Again, the interior of the offensive line. Ooh, a little glitch in the video there. The interior of this offensive line. Watch 90 just shed this block. I mean, he just gets right off of it. That's the left guard. She gets right off of it. Boom. I just don't see JMU's interior run game getting a whole lot of movement against these Oregon tackles. Washington and Alexander. Bear Washington and Amari Washington and Bear Alexander. I think those guys are going to win. And JMU's going to have to run it outside of them. And do stuff like this, where they invite some of the pressure. But even on this, Louisville did a good job sniffing it out. A little screen here. I'll try to slip Knight out of the backfield. See, they fit is a counter fake. I like this. I like this scheme, right? Remember earlier in the film study, we saw counter with both guard and tackle pull. Now we're going to see H insert, guard pull, tackle flare out with another offensive lineman for the screen. I like running the counter first. If you're successful running the counter, you might get something here. I think that play has a chance. Maybe Oregon overruns it. But that's the kind of stuff I would run. Now it's 3rd and long, and you could see, right, they're building a wall there at the line at the sticks, and they're still playing 2 safeties deep. Like, you're just not – and Oregon's going to be very structured like this, where they are very comfortable rushing their 4 and dropping their 7 because they think their 4 are going to beat your 5 up front. And that's where JMU, I think the math doesn't work in their favor, because if Oregon's 4, and that's textbook, make them throw it in front of the sticks and rally. If the 4 are going to win against your 5, you're in trouble. And I think Oregon believes that, especially Dan Lanning, I bet your ass he believes it, that our hats are better than your hats. And they didn't even get any pressure there. But when you're dropping 7 and you're forcing everything in front of you, it's easy to rally. And, wow, JMU went. Here you go. JMU, what's the score here? What's time and score here? JMU's up 7-3 with 3 minutes left until halftime. Picture this. This is actually going to be a good thing to end on, because I think this is going to be the key to the game. So, picture this. First quarter, both teams a little nervy. Maybe Oregon drives down, kicks a field goal. JMU hits a play. Maybe they only get a field goal. Maybe it's 3-3. Low-scoring game, back and forth. We're getting close to the end of the first half. It's still pretty close. JMU's hanging in there. 4th and 1 at their own 35-yard line. And they're going. And they picked it up, which is great, but what if they don't? Like, to me, these are the types of plays, because of how big of an underdog JMU is. In order for Oregon to cover, I think Oregon has to hit a lot of these 50-50 plays, these risk-reward plays, because it is inevitable that Bob Chesney is going to take risks in this game. He has nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose. So if he's going to take risks in this game, are you going to hit the point? Are you going to press on the hard 6? Or are you going to 7 out? And I think, to me, that's where it's a fun game from a betting perspective, but it's a very dangerous game from a betting perspective. All right, I think I've kind of exhausted it here. So I'm excited for this game. I am. Again, I think the Ducks on offense, right? We didn't talk about that in this film study. But I think the Ducks on offense are balanced. They can run it. They can throw it. I've heard rumblings that Evan Stewart is practicing this week. No idea if he's going to play. But you get him back. You got 3 really good running backs, Whittington, Davison, Hill. They're all above average in their Pro Football Focus rushing grades. Dante Moore, obviously dangerous with his legs. The question is JMU's pass rush. Can they get consistent pressure on Dante Moore? But I think the Oregon offense can be very balanced in this game. And I don't want to say bland. That's not the word that maybe is very flattering. But when you're not predictable, right, and you're kind of, I can go run or pass, it's hard for the defense to get fully set. And that's where I think Oregon is going to have success offensively in this game. The question is, can JMU make a couple of splash plays on offense and on defense? Because we know that when Dante Moore does get that pressure, that's when he might be a little more turnover prone. But that JMU offense, man, they're going to have to get, not lucky, but they're going to have to come up aces every time Bob Chesney rolls the dice. Because those 4th and 1 plays in your own territory, first play of the game, double pass, trick play, gadget, gizmo, Tinkerbell, all the fluff and bells and whistles. I think you're going to have to hit on those in order to have a chance to win the game. But you never know. I think Oregon wins. I think they probably cover. I think there's better bets on the board in the first round weekend. Because of the volatility of this game, I don't think it's a great betting game. Probably a fun betting game. To take the points with JMU, probably the more entertaining way to wager on it. That would probably be my lean in the game, even though I do think Oregon will win and move on. I think from a betting standpoint, either take the points or you move on to something else. because this game's going to have a little bit of volatility to it. And we'll see if JMU can't cash in on some of those risky endeavors that they'll have. Should be a fun one, though. If you learned anything in this film study, if you enjoyed, had fun, if you laughed at all, you must like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm continuing to churn out content like this that's a little different. I know you're getting a lot of people coming on shows and just telling you what they think and reeling off a bunch of stats and being obviously very educated and knowledgeable about the paper side of it. But there's a ball side of it that I hope stuff like this continues to be well received, because I love doing it, man. I love watching ball. It's all I do. I sit around all day and I watch ball. So I think that's cool. And I hope you enjoyed. Again, I appreciate all of you for watching. I love y'all. Hit the like button on your way out, please. And we'll see you next time.